Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Locker Room, our weekly podcast where we shine a light on all of our Bayou region student athletes. Today, we are at the Terrebonne General Performance Training Center, a state-of-the-art facility which helps kids in our area get ready for those sports that we talk about on a weekly basis. A wonderful facility. We're actually going to talk to Patrick Labat, who is the manager of the Performance Training Center. He also trains those kids over at Vanderbilt Catholic to get ready for their particular sports, as Terrebonne General's weights and conditioning program is brought over to Vanderbilt Catholic to help those kids. We're also going to have Casey on a little bit later. Casey's going to talk to us about the 29-0 CCA Lions baseball team. That's right, folks, 29-0. They are setting a precedent that has never been seen in the state of Louisiana. As a matter of fact, if they win their next one and get to 30, that will be something that has never been done in the state of Louisiana. 30 wins in a row in baseball. So exciting times over there on the campus of CCA and all of baseball and softball as it's kind of culminating and coming to an end as the playoffs are right around the corner. We drop every Monday, but today it's a Tuesday. A little bit different, couple of reasons. One, because we wanted to be here in the Performance Training Center. But two, we were actually at Nicholls State yesterday for their alumni student golf tournament at Ellendale, as Terrebonne General is a big supporter of that. What a great job that Tommy SJ and his crew did yesterday over at Ellendale. Weather conditions weren't great, but it turned out really well, and we congratulate everybody there at Nicholls for what they did. And it was handled A-class. And for a situation where the weather wasn't perfect, we congratulate those folks over there. Again, we're going to talk a little bit about this Performance Training Center and how it might help the student athlete that you have in your household. Let's get Pat Labat in here and we'll talk a little bit about that. As I promised, I was going to have Pat Labat here. Pat is the manager of the Performance Training Center here on corporate. Now, a lot of people get a little confused because for the longest time, the gym was actually over at the hospital, on the campus of the hospital. It is now moved to corporate for the last couple of months. And as you can see, a beautiful state-of-the-art facility. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Stan. How are you?
Busy time right now as you're trying to kick this thing off and get it to where people understand, because I'll still see people pass by the campus and look at the door of the gym that's on campus, and they don't realize that we move. I mean, the majority of people have realized, but there are a few that don't realize it.
No, that was one of the major reasons that we wanted to make this move, was because we wanted to be able to get more publicity, kind of in a more prime spot in Houma, being tucked away on the backside of the hospital. It was a great location for us, and it really allowed us to do everything we wanted to do at the time. But now I think the space that we're in now is much bigger, much more centrally located, I guess you'd say. And we're pretty excited about what the opportunities that's going to allow us.
Let's talk about those opportunities. You have more of a situation where it is a traditional membership gym for those who just want to get on treadmills and ellipticals, which we're actually standing around right now. But it still caters to those kids. I say kids, even the older generation that wants to be competitive in a sport. When I say competitive, I don't mean that you're on a team that you go. I'm talking about you might be a cyclist, you might be a runner, you might be playing high school sports and you just want to get better at your craft, right?
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit. How does it work? Is it specific times? How does that work?
So all of the above. For the first time, we're able to offer an open gym, which is something we've always wanted to do. So that is your typical fitness setting where you walk in, swipe a card, you have access to cardio equipment, machine equipment, free weight equipment, that type of thing. So your typical gym style, I guess you'd say. But this 10,000 square feet that we have now really allows us to bring what we did special at our other location along with that. And so we do have our athlete classes, our fit classes, our powerlifting classes, all the things that we used to offer. And we're actually hoping that in the future we can expand those classes to even more finite classes where we get down into core classes and mobility classes and things like that. So we have big plans for the future. But as far as times of our classes, our fit classes, we have them pretty much all day long, 5, 6, 7, and 8:30 in the morning, 12 to 1 o'clock, which is our lunchtime, 2 in the afternoon from 5 to 6 and 6 to 7. So those are our fit class times. Our athletes run after school. So we have our advanced athlete sessions at 3 o'clock to 4:30. And we have our youth sessions at 4 o'clock to 5 and 5 o'clock to 6. And when I say youth, it's our youth and development sessions. So another thing that this space allows us to do is work with teams. We've had a couple of teams already come in We start the team training at 7 years old to 9 years old. So that's our youth age group. And then our development age group is from 10 to 14. So we're pretty excited about that. I know a lot of the soccer teams in the area have reached out to us and expressed their excitement about it. And I mean, all in all, man, just a bigger space that allows us to do more. And it's kind of our job to try to see what we can do with it.
Just to expand a little bit on the team concept, you literally mean a full team can come in here and get the training together as a team and work on those things. And I think it's fair for us to clarify this too. And you can clarify this to me. Is it a situation where you're teaching the skill and technique of that sport, or just how to get, quote unquote, bigger, faster, stronger related to that sport?
I would say more of the latter. Our goal is to make the athlete bigger, faster, stronger, more stable, healthier, more resilient. And then we're hoping, if we do it right, that those attributes transfer to the sport. So we're not, if it's a soccer player, I'm not working on their shooting skills or anything like that, but I'm working on the attributes that may allow that athlete to shoot harder, shoot farther, run faster, the things that will transfer to the field. So that's kind of what we specialize in.
Very good. I think it's fair to add this too. There's a situation where you have been working with Vanderbilt Catholic in a capacity that it's a paid service to Vanderbilt
Right.
Catholic. That being said, we're starting to seeing dividends start to pay off. A terrific football season, an outstanding volleyball season, basketball champions in girls basketball. Basketball boys did extremely well. Probably a pretty good chance that the boys and girls in baseball and soccer make a little run at a championship. You have track athletes that are doing really well. Do you feel like what y'all are doing there is starting to sort of pay off after a year and a half, maybe 2 years of doing that?
Yeah. So we're actually coming up on a 2-year mark, and it's been one of the most fulfilling things that I've done. Like, I went to school to train athletes. It's what I love. It's what I'm passionate about. And I care about the health and the performance of our athletes, probably sometimes more than I should. But it's just something that I'm extremely passionate about, like I said. And Vanderbilt allotting us the opportunity to try to come in there and make a difference in their program has been huge. I think some of the biggest things that we help impact is lowering injury rates. So as much as the performance on the field matters to us, and we want to try to help athletes reach their optimal level. One of the things I think we're most proud of is lowering the injury rate in the weight room, lowering the injury rates on the field, things like that. And so that's something that I'm really excited about. We look forward to working with them for as long as they'd have us. I can't speak highly enough about the administration of Vanderbilt and the coaches there. They go above and beyond for their athletics. Not only did they bring us in, but they also brought in our nutritionist, Michelle Brasino. So they do a lot, and I can go on and on. They've actually implemented a nutrition program for their football team where they're actually, providing protein shakes and providing meal replacements and things like that for athletes that have these long days. They get to school at 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning and they don't leave till 5 or 6 in the afternoon. The things that Vanderbilt does for their athletes by hiring us, by hiring Michelle, putting their investments into their program is pretty top notch.
Very nice. Giving them the best resources they could possibly give them, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if anybody wants to know anything about anything we talked about, maybe they want to come to the gym. They're a student athlete, they want to come to the gym. Maybe it's a school out there that's like, we might want to do something like that. Best way to get in touch with you guys?
You can give us a call at 985-850-6206, or you can shoot me an email personally, patrick.labat@tghealthsystem.com. But you can also find us on the website, Terrebonne General's webpage. And if you're just a regular person looking to work out, you want to come join an open gym or a fit class, you can join actually online. Or if you're a parent that wants to sign an athlete up, you can go to Terrebonne General's Performance Training Center page, and there'll be a Join Now tab. You can click that Join Now tab. It'll take you step by step through the entire process. You can get signed up, sign your athlete up. If you have any questions, just give us a call, shoot us an email, whatever works best. Or you can come drop by.
Perfect. Talk about the free fit test Saturday.
Our Free Fit Fest, you mentioned earlier in the conversation that we're in a better location and, people probably know we're here. You'd be surprised. We have a lot of conversations with people that don't know that we're open yet. They don't know that we had changed locations. And so we're trying to do our best to let the community know that we are here and that we are open and that we are a service. We're an option for you. There's plenty of other good services out here, and don't take anything away from those guys. But if this is something that interests you, come and take a free tour. And on this coming Saturday, the 12th, we're actually going to be doing our second Fitness Fest. It's a free thing where clients can come in starting at 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock, and they can come check out our gym. They can come get a workout. All they have to do is sign a quick waiver. It takes 10 seconds. They can work out for free in the open gym. If they want to try a fit class, we're running one at 7 o'clock and at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if they want to come try a fit class for free, they can do that as well. So feel free, if anybody's out there is wondering about it or interested, come try our free fitness fest.
Very good. Very good. Thanks, Pat. Best of
Absolutely.
luck going forward.
Thanks, Dan.
Happy to have Casey here with us. Always happy to have him here to shed light on some things that are happening in our Bayou region. I hope that you are doing well. I hope that everything going well, because I want to share some exciting news about you in just a little while. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Just trying to figure out the weather here in Southeast Louisiana, whether I need to wear short sleeve shirts, a coat, all that good stuff.
Isn't it amazing? It truly is amazing. Back to the congratulations for you. I know and I saw recently where you will be doing some more work with Louisiana High School Athletic Association related to softball and baseball. That's got to be a lot of fun to kind of go out there. You're going a little further than Lake Charles this time. Not much further, but going out to Sulphur this time. So how did that come about? And kudos to you for that, what I would consider an honor.
Yeah, thank you, man. It is an honor. I'm very proud, to be able to have that opportunity. Basically, did the basketball stuff, and they said, hey, you did pretty well. So, let's run it back. And they invited me for softball and baseball. Super excited to have that opportunity. Doubly excited that I may be calling some games involving local teams, which I guess we'll touch on in just a second. So yeah, man, this will be a great opportunity to go out to Sulphur and see the best of the best play. It's going to be very exciting.
Well, suffice to say that if you are doing some of the championship baseball games, you may stumble across a couple of local teams, and we would be remiss if we would not first lead this off with what CCA is doing, right? I mean, I'm kind of glad we did the show on Tuesday this week because we had the opportunity to kind of let that John Curtis game go by last night. That being said, the Lions are still undefeated. For anybody out there who's like, well, what kind of competition? I don't know if this is going to equate. John Curtis, for those of you who may be under a rock somewhere, is a pretty good athletic program. I mean, they play pretty good in all sports, and baseball is something they've won state championships in. And last night, CCA just does what they do. They won it 7-0 in a shutout. Can you find any faults in this team?
Not really. Look, I've been told that 30 games is the longest winning streak in LHSAA history. They have a chance to match that today against ERAT. And look, I'm going to rattle off some stats here, man. They've outscored opponents 332-14 this year. 14. They've given up 14 runs. Only one team has stayed within 4 runs of them this year. That was Central Catholic in a 1-0 game. They've won 21 of their 29 games via run rule. No one has scored more than 4 runs. They have not allowed a run in 16 days. They have 8 straight shutouts. They have not allowed multiple runs in a game in 30 days. They have played 15 games in that stretch. It's just ridiculous, man. And look, Joe came on the radio last week and said, oh, yeah, we're going to play John Curtis. We might get beat up a little bit. No, man. All they do is the first pitch, Mason Cantor hits a home run, you're winning, and then you don't give up a run. You're in control of the game from start to finish. Now, they play URAF today. They got St. Charles Catholic for a doubleheader on in the week. So the schedule's still going to stay tough. But my God, 29 wins in a row have a chance tonight to tie an LHSAA record with 30 straight wins.
It's amazing to me in baseball, a game where you're not supposed to win all your games. Even in the old days of the NCAA, when it was the Arizona States, when I was a little kid, who they were finishing 50-6. At least they were losing 6 games. So for CCA to do what they're doing, now ERAF, I understand, is pretty good. I understand that they handled Edie White very easily this past weekend, and I understand that that's a good ERAF team, and it's another measuring stick, I'm sure. The thing, and you talk to Joe, does he worry about pressure building up?
A little, I guess, but one of the things with those guys, and Butch Terry was telling me this, is that, no one on their team has thrown more than like 420 pitches all year because they're getting out of the games in 3 innings, 5 innings, whatever it may be. So I was asking Butch, I said, Butch, are you worried about your arms getting a little fatigued? Like, can they sustain this? And he said, dude, my arms are fresh as a daisy. Like, we are fresh because no one has had to overexert themselves. Now, I guess the one thing, if there is a one thing that Joe I wouldn't say like to see, because obviously you don't want to be losing in a game, but he would like to see his team, maybe fall behind 3-1 after 2 innings, where see if they could claw back. They haven't had to do that at all this year. But I guess outside of that, I mean, my goodness, they have been just a wrecking ball throughout the course of the year.
It is truly amazing what they're doing. It's and I don't use this word lightly, it's unprecedented because nobody has kind of done the things that they see. I will say this, if for anybody who's wondering, when you get into that bracket, how might it play out for CCA? I think Opelousas Catholic has good personnel, and I think Vermilion Catholic handled Vanderbilt Catholic this weekend, so that's a little bit of a test. Too bad we don't see Vanderbilt and CCA. That would have been kind of nice to see those two teams sort of playing each other, because I think they both have the opportunity to make a run in their respective brackets. What's sort of, putting CCA not necessarily in the rearview mirror. You can include them in this, but what has surprised you the most about the baseball season?
Let's see. What has surprised me the most? I just how competitive Division I non-select is, where you have a South Lafourche team that may win 21, 22 games, and they're not going to get in, more than likely. Thibodaux is on the bubble. Thibodaux's got a great team. They're on the bubble. Another surprise is how up and down some of our local teams have been. E.D. White, they win some big, they lose some, they've been kind of a little bit of a roller coaster. South Terrebonne, kind of the same thing. And then, this one isn't a surprise, but if not for the year that CCA were having, we would be talking a whole lot more about Vanderbilt, because they're having an unbelievable year out there. They're kind of getting overshadowed a little bit. They are one of the favorites to win the state championship in Division II select. And as I'm going through the teams in my mind, Houma Christian's success this year is a little surprising. That they didn't have the best year last year, but they're up there near the top in Division III select. So great job by the staff and the boys out there. They're putting together a wonderful year, and they've got a chance to make a playoff run as well.
Agree. And when you think of Vanderbilt Catholic, I'm sure E.D. White, who, if I'm not mistaken, they play this afternoon, might have something to say about that. But you mentioned that E.D. White was sort of up and down. The fact is in that bracket right now, it's basically Vanderbilt and Turlings Catholic. So I think when you're up there calling some of those games for the LHSAA, you're going to have some local flavor, and that'll be a lot of fun for you going forward. I sort of, I could have let off with this, but I buried it a little bit. And the reason I bury it is and you don't even know what I'm about to say. So folks, Casey's like, what is he talking about? I hate to say this, and this is the first time I say it publicly. We're about to notify all of the coaches and everything. After 17 years of having an all-star baseball game, it looks like we won't have one this year.
Oh, man, I hate to hear that. Is there any reason why in particular?
Interest level. So here's the deal. For the first time in the history of the LHSAA, they have moved the state baseball tournament back to where over 50% of our high schools will be graduated already. As a matter of fact, this is boy, if you're a Vanderbilt Catholic fan, you're going to scratch your head at this one. On the day Vanderbilt Catholic's supposed to graduate is the day that Vanderbilt would be in a state championship game if they were fortunate enough to get there.
Wow.
So how's that going to work, right? CCA got lucky. So if CCA makes it to the state championship game, CCA won't have to worry about graduation on the Saturday, because the Division IV Select Championship is a couple of days before Saturday. It just happens to be a couple of days before Saturday because it's a lower classification. But if you are, I'll give you another one. E.D. White is in a situation where, can you imagine if they were to get to the state championship? This is a lot of hypotheticals, right? But if they were to get to the state championship, they graduate on Friday night and they would play the next morning for the state championship on the Saturday. There are schools that have graduated already. They will have graduated. For example, in Terrebonne Parish, if you had Terrebonne, HL, which are not going to be in the playoffs, Ellender probably not. South Terrebonne, I think, is going to be in the playoffs. So let's use South Terrebonne as an example. If they were to make the state championship game, those kids have already graduated high school. So now we, as a organization that tries to put on an all-star game, have to have it the week after the state championships. So now all of these boys are graduated high school and they're moving on, and most of them are going on senior trips. I get it, you know. So we polled the coaches, and when we polled the coaches, we had some schools that, you know, I have to say were very much like, we got kids who want to play, but not a majority, but half of them said, no, our kids, you know, that they're finished with baseball. They want to move on to Cancun and wherever. And we get it. And it's just a new day and age of baseball. I don't know if you realize that the state tournament was that far back.
I knew that they had been messing with the season times. You know, I know that the season started 2 weeks earlier and, you know, now it's going to end a little later. I didn't realize that it was rubbing up against graduations like that. That is a logistical nightmare. If you are a Vanderbilt, you know, and you're having to play a state championship game on graduation day, obviously your boys are going to play, but like, how do you replicate that experience of walking across the stage, which is a life-changing moment? I don't think you can, but it's crazy. And I'll tell you this, we have had coaches on throughout the baseball season. We have not had a single baseball coach come on and say, hey, yeah, I like what we've done to the calendar. They all hate it. They don't like that it's starting so early. They don't like the way that it's set up. It calls for a lot of contention. And I know that they voted in January to go back to the old schedule, but here's the thing. It doesn't go into place until like 2027. So we still got to wait a little while and we still got to see. But that is something that a lot of the coaches have been chirping about. They do not like this new calendar at all.
Well, it basically took a sledgehammer and smashed. And listen, just to add a little bit, there is a state all-star baseball tournament, which we obviously concede a kid to go play in that one if he makes that one, right? They're having trouble because they are having kids who are done and gone too. So from a standpoint of you have to almost be a baseball purist. There again, I want to reiterate, there are a couple of schools that are really disappointed. I mean, you know, the coach has reached out to me and said, this is like, my kids are devastated. And there are some schools that are like, no, you know, my kid's already, he's got his swimsuit and his rubber raft ready for Cancun. So it is what it is. I will say this, and this is in the very beginning stages, and this is a little bit of, you know, kind of leaking it out, I guess, so to speak. We've had softball coaches call now and say, hey, we finished way before the end of the year. How about us? So we have a couple of softball coaches who are sort of taking the bull by the horns, and they're asking if Terrebonne General can assist them with having an all-star game. So you may hear about that, you know, coming up. But again, I wanted to bury it simply because we're just getting the news out and everything. And as a guy who kind of was instrumental in not necessarily starting this, but working with the Constants way back when in 2008 to get this going, you know, it's a little disappointing to me because I'm a baseball sort of purist guy too, and it looks like it won't happen. So let's stop talking about that. All right, let's go on.
It's a shame.
Yeah, let's kind of go on to track and field.
Sure.
We're heading to state competition. I don't think that any of our teams are probably in a position to win a team title. But, boy, we got some special athletes in the area doing some good things in their respective events. What have you seen that has really sparked your interest related to those kids, maybe with a chance to finish 1, 2, or 3 in the state in their respective division?
Oh, we do have some individuals that are really performing at a high level, man. You know, we've got, I'm thinking in the field, Ava Bourre at South Lafourche, who's just doing great things in the shot put pit, just recently committed to McNeese State University. We had Jalen Coleman on the track. I mean, obviously a great sprinter. And you know what's crazy is we had Dwayne Jenkins over, and I know this is Lutcher, but Dwayne Jenkins today, I got 2 or 3 sprinters at the district meet who are going to challenge Jalen Coleman. So when you get to that 4A district meet, they're going to be burning the track. It's going to be very exciting.
Wow, that's going to be interesting.
Yes, indeed. So that'll be great. You know, we've got the name escapes me. The big thrower at Central Lafourche, the Adams kid, I believe.
Oh yes, yes.
Fine man. I mean, just doing great things. So you're right. I don't know that I will say this though. Edie White scoring a bunch of points now, so they maybe could have.
Yeah, you know, I'll I agree. I probably misspoke a little bit. Edie White seems to be a track team that could put some points together in the field and on the track. And that's where you win, track team titles. And they have the kid who is the Blake Terrio, if I'm not mistaken, the pole vaulter, who is terrific. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe Ed White in there can make a little bit of noise. I had the opportunity to talk to our friend Steve Barber. He and Francis Labat went back to South Terrebonne, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I said, "How is it now? Is it a different world than track?" And he says, track is the one thing. If you're a track coach, it's not like being a baseball coach or whatever, where you have parents kind of wondering if you play in the right kid. If you got the fastest time, you're the guy who's going to be in the race. He said, so there are some constants with track and field, and it's kind of nice to see some kids from our area who are going to do well. And you mentioned there's a lot of young kids on the middle school level who are going to be really good in the future too, right?
Oh, 100%. A lot was made of Emmy Ingram and Edie White's performance on the varsity level. She is ridiculously good in track as well. Now she's doing middle school track right now as an 8th grader over at Edie White, but she's one to look out for. There's so much talent in this area. And we talk about this a lot with baseball's resurgence. We've mentioned the Hogs and Swampland and everything. There's starting to be a revitalization of AAU track in our area, and that can't do anything but help, man. If these kids are doing it, learning it, because this, track is about technique. I mean, to do the long jump and the triple jump, you got to have the right footwork. You got to time your steps. The throw to discus, you have to have the right technique. The younger you're learning that, the better you're going to be when you're in the process of becoming an adult. Can't do anything but help. I think our track and field in our area is at a very bright spot, and I think that the future is going to be very, very good for our area.
And listen, I'm just going to roll a couple of names, and there's a lot more than this, but the Joe Rileys, the Tex Martins, those guys really enjoy the sport and the fundamentals and technique that go along with it, and they carry it throughout the summer. So kudos to them, and we'll look for kids doing well along the way. Couple of things before I let you go. One, what in the world happened at the South Lafourche Dexter handball game yesterday?
Oh, goodness. So we had a situation where I believe it's the bottom of the second inning. The incident actually happened at the top of the second inning where a pitch it hit the shoulder of the batter, hit the shoulder of the catcher, and then ricocheted and hit the home plate umpire in the jaw. So he gutted it out and, worked another half inning or so. And then he goes to the trainer and is like, "Hey man, I'm dizzy." Trainer puts him in concussion protocol. He's not able to continue. So they had to delay the game for about an hour while getting another umpire to South Lafourche. So everybody's just sitting on their hands. Fortunately for the fans, across the way at the football stadium, there's the Powder Puff game, so they were able to walk across the street and watch, the cheerleaders play football, which was fun. And then, after that, just a thrilling game. Dexterhand's 9-hole hitter gets the game tying hit in the 7th inning. Then they blow it open a little bit in the 8th. But people have been asking, hey, why, 2 separate videos? Why the big delay? That's why we had an umpire injury. Was put in concussion protocol, maybe a broken jaw type of thing. It was kind of swelling up a little bit. But yeah, look, just took one right in the jaw, right where the mask was not covering his flesh, and just said, getting punched in the face, man. Foul ball or a hit, pitch, ricochet, hits him right in the face.
I don't want to officiate anything, but I definitely don't want to put on gear and get behind a plate where kids' velocity in high school is getting up around 90 miles an hour. That's wild. I kind of wondered about that. I saw that coming through. By the way, folks, remember, go to Bayou Sports to kind of catch up with everything. A daily scoreboard, games that you can catch every night. For the most part, I know you need to take a break in there a little bit, but they can catch up with a lot, which, I wanted to bring the next. I saw the other day where you guys are going to be starting a podcast. I think that's great. The more we can sort of get the Bayou region out there. I say the Bayou region, I don't care who it is. If it's high school kids that are being supported by this, I think it's a great thing. We don't talk much about Nichols here, but from the standpoint of, supporting Nichols and our flagship university, LSU, it's kind of nice. I know you guys are on the beginning stages of that, or are you very close?
We're close. We got our man cave set up, and we're going to be looking to have some fun with that. It's going to be called the group chat. We're going to be similar to Barstool, kind of, where we're not going to be taking ourselves too seriously, but we're also going to promote the kids and we're going to have a good time. So it'll be good. That'll be coming out about a week or so. We'll be launching and testing some things out. But yeah, no, we're looking forward to it, man. Look, anything we could do, like as you were telling me about the potential of maybe having a softball all-star game, my wheels have been like, hey, whatever you guys need, you know this. Anything we could do to help the kids in our area, that's something we take pride in doing, and it's something that we're always going to do, quite frankly.
I agree. And I think that has sort of been the catalyst. I'm hoping there's a little bit more interest. Truthfully, the long time paper we've had in our Bayou region is not going to step up. But I do think that I've seen things lately. I've seen things from even our friend Chris Singleton's trying through Nichols to get things going and to get back our region teams and things like that. I think Martin Falls is trying to do something in the way of sports a little bit more. So the more we could do for the area, the better, because the kids certainly deserve it. And that's the only way you're going to get it out. And I think Bayou sports, is the catalyst for all of that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, man. We certainly try our best to be. We have great relationships with all the coaches in the area. We couldn't do it without those relationships, without coaches sending us stats, without coaches sending us scores and, giving us open door policies to all the locker rooms. We've got those relationships built and we got that passion for wanting to promote the kids. And, that's so far, knock on wood, been a winning recipe for us.
I agree. And you could bring up a good point. We are also in a day and age where if it is limited with the resources of how you get it, we need to rely on coaches, parents, but parents who are responsible, right? Parents and everybody else who could send us those scores. And that seems to be the way of the world related to sports. And it's almost like if we want to make sure the Bayou region doesn't get lost in the New Orleans area or the Baton Rouge area, we need to take care of it ourselves.
100%. And that was exactly the motivation for us getting started.
Yeah. Thanks for everything you do. And again, I think we're sort of on an upswing. I hope we're on an upswing related to getting the word out about those kids in the area. Thanks for your time. We'll catch up with you. Busy week this week or?
Sort of busy week. We're going to be covering a lot of the final week of baseball. For me personally, I'm excited. I got LSU and Nichols tonight on ESPN.
I forgot to mention that. We don't talk collegiate very much, but that's right. The Tigers coming into town, and that's a makeup game, correct?
Yeah, makeup game, 6:30 today. I'll be on the call on ESPN Plus. So be looking forward to that. But we got a lot of big games in our area on the baseball side, man. These coaches cram these big, high-stakes games into the back of their schedule, try to get some PowerPoints. Like, we'll be at CCA in St. Charles later in the week. We got a couple of Tarpon games. I wish, if not for Nichols and LSU, I'd be at E.D. White and Vanderbilt today, but that's going to be a good one. But we're going to be covering through the rest of the regular season. We do have commitments to cover some softball playoff games and some baseball playoff games. So we're going to be hot and heavy until the end of the school year, man. We're going to be covering it like a blanket. And then, of course, with my being in Sulphur, we'll be covering the state tournaments as well. So can't wait.
Yep. We appreciate your time, certainly.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
All right. Take care, Casey. We hope to see you. If everything works out, we'll be talking to you next week.
Can't wait.
I'd like to thank Pat Labat. I'd like to thank, obviously, Casey Gisclair for giving us time and talking to us today. Again, we were a day late. It was Tuesday, but we will be back on form on Monday where we're going to get these podcasts out to you every Monday. We hope that you are tuning in. If you want to get notifications as to when we drop the exact time on Mondays, just go ahead and subscribe and give us a like. And we'll be sure to make sure that you get everything related to when our show is put out there. Again, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. More baseball, more softball, more track and field, and everything else that is going on in the spring sports. Take care, everybody.